So, Veronica, hello again.
Hi.
So tonight we're going to do step... Oh, I've lost my bearings.
8.
Step 8, thank you. Step 8 reads, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another one that doesn't look too great, really, does it?
Well, yeah, it depends how widely you throw the net around harmed, really, doesn't it?
Yeah. So when it says made a list of all the persons we had harmed, what that's actually referring to is the list that you did in step 4. So
Okay.
we talked about the different columns that you have, and that you look at your resentments, and then you kind of reverse it and look at how you've actually harmed those people, which at first is hard to get your head around because we just stay stuck in but they did that to us, it's not fair. But the process really takes us through where we begin to look and see that actually we have had a part in it. So what we're willing to the willingness is about really being willing to then make that bit right. And it really, this is, we have to completely and utterly put out of our minds what they did or what we believe they did to us.
Okay.
Because it's so seductive and easy for us to get into, but let me tell you what they did. And then we just stay stuck because we're back in our story, we're back in justifying, we're back into it's not fair, and we can't grow and we can't move on. So in order to grow and move on, we're just looking at what we did. And it may be in some relationships our part was 5% and the other person's was 95%. And all we're doing at step 8 is being willing to make the bit that's just on our side of the street right. Does that make sense?
It does, and I think I must have misunderstood step 4 and all the steps that kind of run on from that, because it's becoming clear now that they're all kind of part of a much bigger picture, aren't they? They all interlink, and they're not separate from each other. No,
absolutely, yeah, they all interlink.
Yeah. So I kind of figured that the step 4 and the making amends was more about kind of almost doing a drunk-a-log. So, all the bad things that you ever did when you were drunk, and then going back and saying sorry to everybody that you were, so I completely misinterpreted that. Completely.
No, it's really, in the step 4, it's about the people that we're resentful at. And then, what I do with people when I work through this, we go through the list, and we can actually talk about this a bit more in step 9, but it's not usually absolutely everybody on our list. Then we also look at, the sex conduct list, and we also, there's always a few things that, just didn't come up on any list, like, oh, well, I stole this money. So it's just all of that, okay, so that's what, we're just willing. And it's also at this point, it's another leap of faith that, it's like, okay, well, I've got this far, and for any magic to happen, I've got to do all of it. I can't do part of it. And I'm just willing to go with it. I'm willing to go with it. And the other thing is the word amends. It doesn't say and become willing to make a groveling apology. And there's a really big difference in that. And there's a very specific way that I make my amends to people. I don't make a groveling apology. I don't go there and, flog myself and, and go on about what a terrible person I have. Because, that's actually really manipulative and self-seeking. What I do is I go there with my head held high, and I very simply state the nature of my wrongs. So, and we'll talk about this a lot more when we talk about step 9, but there's a very specific way of doing it. But it's, and it may be amends, it starts with owning our behavior, owning that we were selfish in our dealings with them, or we were ungrateful, or whatever. And it may be, where I stole money, I then made arrangements to repay that. You know, it may be, you know, for instance, people have made amends to their children. It may be then, you know, we don't just say these words. We then, our amends is to then actually spend some more quality time with our children, or you know, our mother, or whatever it is. It's actually the start of a process where we amend our behaviour towards those people. You know, it might be that, you know, I just no longer, I still may not like this person at work. I still may not care for this person, but I'm not going to gossip about them anymore. I'm not going to participate in that behaviour anymore. That's my amend to them.
Okay.
So it's mending. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. And I've often heard the expression used in the recovery community about making a living amends, that, you know, every day that you don't drink, you are making living amends to, you know, those people who were affected in the fallout of your drinking behaviour before. And that makes perfect sense. With somebody with small children who you can't really make amends to in, you know, I can't explain to them, I can only show them on a daily basis that things are different. So it makes perfect sense.
I just want to say something about that. Living amends, absolutely complete load of bollocks. That's such a load of rubbish. And when people say that, it's so... That's something that's just come out of the air. That's not something that's stated in the basic text of the AA 12-step program, which is in the big book. You know what that's actually saying? I'm making living amends. What you're doing is just behaving like a decent flipping human being and expecting a round of applause for it.
Okay.
No, that's so egotistical. Like, I'm making living amends by, you know, spending more time with my children. Well, do you have to announce it, really? No, that's just what normal, decent human beings do. And nobody else gets a round of applause and you know, a sympathetic looks from you know, it's like, it's so, so we talk about...
I've hit a bit of a nerve, sorry.
We talk about specific language. You know, the language here is very specific, and it talks about direct amends. It doesn't talk about living amends. The steps are a process to become the best version of ourselves that we're capable of being. Not perfect, but the best version of ourselves capable of being. And they give us a framework and tools to behave better and learn from our mistakes and improve, you know, and all those kind of things. And directly make amends, you know, where we have caused harm. You know, this kind of whole, like, living amends philosophy is really, I think, almost abusive. It's really abusive. And there's a big difference in, you know, what people conceive a living amend to be and what actually a direct amend is. No, yeah, then you need to get on with life and be a decent human being.
So how do you make amends to something like your children who are too young to necessarily explain to, I mean, it's quite seriously, how do you...
Well, I can talk about that when we talk about step 9, but yes, I mean, it really is about... it's definitely not about just going and, you know, making an amend and owning our selfishness or being ungrateful or inconsiderate or whatever it is. It is about actually then changing your behaviour. So, you know, it might be your children are too young to really understand what that means, but it might be that they're, I think from a certain age, maybe 5, they can understand. I think they can get what you're trying to do. And then it really is about changing your behaviour. You know, and if you're then doing a regular inventory, you kind of can't escape from that. It's like, okay, I need to get my priorities right here. I need to, you know, I need to be present with my children more, whatever it is. Yeah. So the amends process kind of forces us to change our behaviour. Okay.
And I'm going to say this, but you're probably going to pick it up later, but it sounds like you do your amends regularly, or your inventories regularly.
Yes.
As in, what, every couple of months? Or, I mean, it sounds...
Oh, no, much more regularly than that. We can talk about that when we get to step 10, but yeah, no, most certainly.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks, Veronica.